Hey guys, Charlie from Airplane Academy here. Welcome back to another Monday morning episode. One of my very favorite types of videos is getting to see the cold and dark cockpit startup. And so today we're going to get to film another one of those. We've already done one in a TBM a few months ago, but today I'm joined by my dad, and he recently just got his type rating in a Citation M2, which I'm super proud of him, and it's something aviation is something we just really love getting to pursue together. I feel really fortunate to get to do that as a father and son. So we're going to cover the cold and dark startup. I'm going to turn it over to him because I don't know what I'm talking about here, but he just passed his type rating, so he knows a lot more than I do. So, hey, let's hop in.
We've done our walk around outside. Now it's time to start the Citation M2. We're going to start on the right side here and make sure that all of the connections are correct and the mic switch is on for the headset instead of the oxygen mask. Come over here, make sure all these are off or normal, which they are. Flaps are in the flap 0 or up position. Trims are all set. You come up over this direction to the display. This is a reversionary. Make sure they're in the norm mode. Come back down across here. The gear handle is down. Temper select are in norm, and the windshield anti-ice is all on off. Good thing, because it's really hot outside. We don't need any ice. So ice protection are all in the off position. The pressurization is in source of both, and also norm. The cabin dump is in normal and guarded, and the fuel boost is in the normal position. Fuel transfer is off. All the electrical components are off. The circuit breakers are all in. Power headset is over here in the right spot. The mic select is in the headset. Oxygen is connected. And I just ran this display just a little bit ago, so you see a green light on there. So that's going to stay on for just a second. So here we go with the battery coming on. And prior to this, we did the emergency bus to check certain things. And we're going to go ahead and get started so we can get the AC going, get these engines running. So this is a generator start, a battery start, so we want the generators in the on position. The starter generators act as a starter to start the one engine, and then acts as a generator when it gets to 45% N2, which I'll show you in just a moment, and helps the other engine start using it as a generator. This is the MFD of the Garmin G3000. These are Garmin Touch Controllers, or GTCs. This is the MFD, multifunction, and these are the primary function displays, and there's two of them. So we have plenty of avionics real estate here to work off of to get the airplane started. So before we start the engine, the cockpit items, the oxygen system is checked, circuit breakers are in on both sides. The avionics switch circuit breakers on the right side, the co-pilot side, and the majority of the other control circuit breakers are actually on the pilot side, and they are referenced by column and row in the checklist, so it's easy to find something if the checklist calls for you to act on a circuit breaker. Generator switches are as required. This is going to be a battery start, which means we're going to need the engine generators to help start. The emergency lights, we test them here, and we're going to turn on the standby display, which is this. The emergency lights are actually, we arm that so that it acts as lighting for passengers at the emergency exit and outside the airplane. It shows the pathway out the emergency exit to find your way out into the wing, and helps egress from the emergency exits. So the other cockpit controls as required. You can see down here, we've got the parking brake on for start. The rain door is closed. This deflects rain off the windscreen on the outside. Rarely used in citations because it tends to get loose over time and creates a lot of noise. So we leave that in the stowed position. Control lock, gust control lock is right here. The emergency brake handle, when the primary brakes go out, we have an emergency brake that we can use here. It's very sensitive and only used in an emergency. And this is the emergency gear extension. So instead of cranking it down or pumping it down in some airplanes, this actually has a nitrogen bottle, and it blows the gear down, and it's in a 2 or 3 step process run by the checklist that you follow to get the gear down. So it's good to know that you have a reliable source of getting the gear down. So now we see over here that Other cockpit controls, we just did that. Fuel quantity and balance. We want to make sure that the airplane is not out of balance. You can be up to 200 pounds out of balance and still be within limits, and you can transfer fuel from one side to the other using the fuel transfer switch down here, which is really a nice function, so you can keep the airplane balanced. The initialization page is down here. We're going to go to that once we get the engine started, and the cockpit voice recorder, which we don't have. We ignore that because we don't have it. So before starting the engines, parking brake is set. The wheel chocks have been removed. I just did that myself. The cabin door is closed. We don't have any indication here that any of those doors are open. The seats and seat belts and pedals, they are adjusted. Engine instruments and messages, everything here is in the green. Everything's here in the white. Everything's normal here. Air conditioner is off for the start. So here's the starting sequence. We're going to start the right engine, which is the number 1 engine. Correction, the left engine, which is the number 1 engine. We'll start that one first. Okay, so here we go. The way this works is, this is a FADEC engine system, so we are going to engage the starter on the left engine, and when we do that, we will introduce fuel by raising this and taking it to the flight idle. At that point, we will go up here and watch the N2 and the temperatures rise on the ITT and the N1, and I'll describe that as they get started. So for starters, we're going to clear left. We're clear there. We're going to start this engine. We press that. We bring this up over the gate. Then we refer up here. So here's N2. It's climbing. See ignition, light off. We're going to get some heat there in the ITT. We want keep our hand on the throttle so that if it does overheat, we can shut it off quickly. N1 is beginning to rotate, and that is the fan that you see in the front of the jet engines. That's the N1 fan. And as you can see here, we're going to have a nice cool start. The ITT is starting to come down. We have fuel flow, we have oil pressure, good temperature there, and the N1 is settling out at about 24%. So good engine start there, and we come down here to make sure this relay has been turned off. So now we're ready to start the right side. So we're going to clear right there, Charlie.
You're right.
Okay, here we go. We're going to engage the right starter. As you can see, the N2 is coming up quickly. Ignition is on. The light off. Now you see the ITT rising. That's the fire in the can. And the ITT is beginning to level out here. And the N1 fan speed's coming up. Should be about 24.5 like number 1. And we have a cool start. And these 2 carrots here, these 2 blue carrots, are indications that the FADEC, which is full authority digital electronic control of the engine, has taken over the operation of the engine. So at this point, we can go put the AC on, which is going to be nice. Aircraft systems, temperature, AC on. There we go. So now we come back and double check our messages. TCAS, this is no takeoff because we have the parking brake on, and the pedostatic system is cold over here. Prior to takeoff, these are pre-departure items that we fix before we go, and everything is ready to go. So we have had a good engine start, and we're ready to go to our before taxi checklist. We'll do our departure on our next flight, and we'll show all of the initialization. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you is under the system tests. And so, Charlie, if you look down here, the GTC, this is, let me go to, turn the speaker off. I want to show you the systems, how the systems track what's going on. So these are tests of the system that you must complete before each flight. So a fire warning. So for example, it's in progress, and it says engine fire here. You got flashes here, flashes over here. It's in progress. Okay, landing gear, we'll turn that off. I turned the speaker off so you would have heard the fire warning. Landing gear is done. Angle of attack, that's the stick shaker. That warns of an impending stall. And you can also see the angle of attack meter comes up into the red. And you want to test that to make sure that it's monitoring your pitch attitude. Windshield temp is to make sure that you can heat the windshield. We don't leave this on very long when it's this warm outside. Say we got our windshield air over temp, and that's what intended to do that. Overspeed, there's some beeps. If you go past the speed of 263 knots indicated, and at high altitude, that's a VMO, max operating Mach number of 0.71. Anti-skid, which is on the brakes, and you see we get a fail here. It's an amber message. It's a checklist item in the event of an emergency. Anti-skid, we'll turn that off. The annunciators, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure those are working. You can see the TAWS, which is the train awareness.
System test okay.
Then the TCAS, which is for traffic. One before that was terrain. This is a TCAS 1 for monitoring air traffic threats to the airplane. And the radar altimeter that you'll see on the PFD, both PFDs will go to 50. It'll count to 50, and that measures your height above the ground. So radar altimeter, that's done, and we can check initialization. Only thing left is to put in our weight and fuel for the flight plan. The flight plan gets loaded in here, and then the takeoff data gets set before you take off to create the speeds at which you accelerate to rotate and climb out at. And we'll do that on the video when we show the departure. We'll go through the V1 speeds in preparation for takeoff and the pre-takeoff briefing and how important that is when you're going to fly any airplane. But certainly in the jet, it's important to have those speeds down and operate accordingly. So Charlie, we've got a nice cold airplane on the inside and a warmed up airplane on the outside. And once again, everyone, welcome aboard. This is a fantastic airplane. I look forward to flying it for a long time. Have a great day, everyone. Love my checklist.